Hello there, YouTube. A little housekeeping today, and a little shout out for Cobbit of the Shire in his 500th sub, and it's raw that he asked about doing a story, one that impacted our lives, or a poem, or anything like that. And then also a shout out to a person that we've subbed and why we subbed them, and a little bit about it. And so I thought I would go ahead and participate in this one because I've got a couple of things here. The story part of this goes back 1979. Start the history date here. Put it so that you guys know where I'm about. I'm just one of those awkward teenagers, young men going into manhood at that time. I was one of those young children that hit the young child, that hit the years of when, and I'm saying this for a reason, is that I was at the age of where drinking age went from 18, 19, that era in some states, to when it went to 21. So I was already at drinking age when this events happened. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So in high school, even though I wasn't very popular because I was a minister's son and that type of thing, I got taken a little bit advantage of, which I never did participate in this, thank God, because I didn't start partaking in anything of that nature, of spirits of any sort, until after I was way out of the house, and I was like 20, 21, 22, I don't remember exactly when, but when I had my first taste. And that's not saying that I condone or don't condone. Today I don't drink whatsoever, no how, no way. But the reason why I'm saying that, because I had a lot of the high school kids that used to pester me because I was still at buying age, let's put it that way. And because I was grandfather claused in when they changed the age, so most of the kids couldn't buy. But I refused to do that because I knew the connotations and what could happen if I got caught. I could go to jail. My family being a minister's home, my dad being a minister of a church in our little 2,500 people community. So everybody knew what was going in you and what was going out you, so you didn't want to get back to your parents. So obviously, but there was, that's just an introduction to this little story. I was also a kid that begging for attention. My family, my mom and dad, they gave me good, they were a loving family, but there was not a whole lot of what I want to say real hard, tight showing of affection amongst us children. Now that's not saying that we weren't loved. Let me go back to that. We were. So I didn't have a community of 2,500 people. I think, 2,300 people. And then with the outlying area, it was 2,800 people when I was in high school. Another little short story about this, real quick, a side note, is that at the time when I was right at that graduating high school age, we had 19 drinking establishments, or 19 places that sold alcohol for the 23 to 2,800 people in that community. So obviously, you know what the kids did around there. But with that being said, I did not participate in that. I didn't want to. I had no desire at that particular point in time. What I was more interested in as a young man, and as a lot of us, I was looking for friendship in whoever, guys, girls, didn't matter, guys, gals, whatever, just friendship with people. that were closer to my age and like to do the things that I like to do. And I had a really, 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 really close best friend, as we want to call it. He would go to hell and back for me, and I would do the same thing for him. If he called and said he needed help and he needed help yesterday, I'd be there as fast as I could get there to help him out. We've done that through life. Even today, that I'm not around him as much as I'd like to be, we're still the best buds. He calls me, I'm there. I call him, he's here to do something for me. Whatever the cases may be, we've done that throughout our lives. Um, Even when we moved apart and were apart for quite a few years, he had gotten married and had a messy divorce a few years after that. He was able to some way, somehow find me through, because I was, by that time, I had joined the Air Force, been around the United States a little bit, and I don't know how he was able to find me, but he did, and sent me an invitation to the lady that he's still married to today, which has been quite a number of years. Okay, and I made the point and the effort to get over to my little hometown where we were from and where the wedding was. So I got to be part of his wedding. But with that being said, I was hungry for friendship. There, and then let's go into, as us young men start smelling something in the air floating around at our ages of hormones and whatever you want to call it, and we start smelling this, and we're going, what? Where's that smell? Where is that smell? Where's it coming from? I got to find it. And I had dated quite a few young ladies, and nothing ever seemed to pan out and seem to work. Or I would do something stupid, not in going against them or anything. I just would either move somewhere else, do something else. The relationship would fall apart because of that reason. Whatever the case may be, no problem, no problem. Just things happen as a young man. You go from one situation, you're with somebody for a few weeks, a few months, and then it's over with because of whatever reason. None of them were what I would say bad reasons by any means. It was just that, it's like they say, somebody has to try on a few hats, few relationships, until you find the one that works. So I moved across. Well, I actually didn't move across. I went over to the other side of the state from where I was here in Montana, and kind of pushed my way into my uncle's situation where he lived over there, because I had quite a few relatives in that area where I was at, and stayed a few days with them. But in the interim of doing that, there was a girl that I had met that I was trying to see, and trying to make a relationship there work. It didn't. Obviously, it fell apart. So here we go. I considered myself a fairly decent Christian young man. So the church, when we moved into Montana, we moved to this other town in the other side of the state. And my dad was a part of this church that we used to go to there before we moved, and he was hired on as the minister, like I said, on the other side of the state. So I knew the church fairly well. I knew some of the people still there in the community and in the church. So I decided to go to church that night, uh, on a Sunday night, I believe it was. And me being down in the dumps, that I just fell out of a relationship and things didn't work out. And I saw these two young ladies sitting in the closer to the front in some pews up at the front of the church. And I said, And I was with a friend of mine that I had been a friend with for quite a few years, that I happened to bump into. Now, we'll say this also, while I was over there, I was trying to find work, because at that time, back in the late 70s and early mid 80s, there was almost virtually no work in this state. But really hard to find, like I said, back to where I was, unless you knew somebody and had your nose all the way up there, you know what, and had a back door in or whatever, you weren't going to find work in this state. It was real hard. And being dumb and young, yes, I was looking, but I wasn't looking as hard as I should have been also. But with that being said, I said, I was sitting in church, and this kid said, why don't I introduce you to them? I didn't say anything to him. He's the one that said it to me. He said they're good friends. The one young lady had been going to church there quite a while, and said, might strike up a relationship or a friendship there, because I was trying to actually try to move and live over there, but that's another story also. But with that being said, he went ahead and introduced me. So I was interested in the one young lady, very interested. I really wanted to get to meet her. But things just didn't really hit it off like I thought it should have in the beginning. So her friend that lived there in Missoula, this other girl that I was trying to get hooked up with a little bit there, or get to know her, or find some things out about her. She lived in the state of Washington, and didn't really we didn't seem to hit it off as well as I was hoping we would. So I said, well, started talking to this other fine young lady. And so she said, or I should say, I said, well, why don't we go out after church, stop at the little, at that time it was Little Big Men's Pizza, and we had a drink, and over 24 hours later, we were still conversating, and we had known in our little group between my mom and dad that we developed there in that particular area, in the church group, everything. We knew all these people from both sides of the state and in that area tremendously well. Come to find out that her father was an ex-minister. It was in the Foursquare ministry. So she was out of a minister's home, and I didn't know that, but we conversated for, like I said, over 24 hours. And we struck up a relationship that was unbelievable, but we knew all these people, but didn't know each other whatsoever. And through the conversations, I got to thinking about this. I'm saying things are just strange here. I've met this lady. We know everybody. She's a beautiful lady as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how to put it. We just struck it off, just unbelievable. So I'm sitting there now amongst this 24 hours. We conversated. So I don't know what possessed me to do this that night, but I did it. That same night, within that 24 hours. I said, this is screwed up. This girl has got a mental attitude and things that I like and love, actually, that that I don't want to let this go. I've been through a lot of relationships, and I wasn't coming out of a relationship looking just to hop into another situation and that rebound type thing. That's not what I was looking for. Something about this struck me. If it was God led, I'm just saying that. I don't know. It happened. I said, wow, I'm already falling in love that quick. Not lust, not whatever. This particular lady did it for me. She could take care of me as well as my mother did through all those years, or better. And I'm not saying my mom, didn't take care of me well. She took care of me very well. But I could tell that this girl had something about her that was there. when she's when you have a good mother and you find somebody that can take care of you as well. I don't mean hand and foot, you know, that type of thing. Do everything for you, be your slave. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Just a good-hearted attitude. And the conversation said, I don't want to lose this. I found something that I would like to take to my grave for the rest, or be with for the rest of my life. So, also with that being said, I asked her to marry me that same in that same 24-hour period. When and where we just sat in the old 65 Chevy that I had borrowed from my uncle to use to get around in while I was there. Because my best friend at that particular time, why I'm going talking about him first, is we both went over there looking for work. Couldn't find work. He had to get back home to his dad's place to take care of his dad and a few other things. So he left me there, and then I took a bus back to where we live now, um, to basically pick up my personal belongings and my car and all that stuff, and then drive back. Okay. There was My uncle was in the process of moving from that area to uh, about 50 miles away from there with his newest wife, into a little community that was a dot in the road. But anyway, so I helped them move, and didn't get in contact with my wife now. Let's get that out there. My wife now. That it was like 3 or 4 days before I got in contact back with her, because I've been helping my uncle move and everything. So he gave me a place to stay at the house that they were in at that particular time, until they got completely moved. And then I had to, you know, go my way, because I couldn't keep staying there. I didn't plan on it anyway. But what I'm getting at is that I finally called, I'll say Janice, my wife now. I called her to see how she was doing, and could we hook up and go have dinner or something, or go see a movie, whatever the case may be. Her girlfriend at that time, which was her best friend through high school, also. That's how she was over visiting her from the state of Washington, over in Montana here visiting, and she's the one that answered the phone. She goes, "Oh my God, I'm glad you called, because Janice was freaking out, wondering what happened to you, where you went, and did you leave her in the lurch with building her up on just because she said yes immediately on the marriage proposal." Okay. With that being said, there again, here we go, and using that term or little phrase. Got her on the phone. Great. Everything was good. Happy. She was so excited to hear from me that I haven't ran off, or whatever the case may be. And we made a date, and I took them both out and took them to dinner. And after the meal and stuff, and I think we went to a movie at the same time. We all went together, and I paid for everything, what little money I had back then. The only way I got money was from a previous job and tax money. So I had a little bit of pocket change at that time. So I took them out. She told me afterwards that she was so impressed that I was dating her, but I took them both out and I paid for everything. She said I'd never seen that through all the relationships that she has ever had, that somebody would do that for them or her. Okay. So basically, I hate to say this, but basically I moved in with her. And then in a few days later, I went, after I was introduced to her father and stepmother. Uh, I was introduced to him. And then in a couple days after that, I proposed to her, in a manner Actually, it was one of the local grade schools where I went to grade school when I was really young, I should say. I reproposed to confirm and put it in her mind that, yeah, this was, I meant this. We had a couple dates, and the same thing. We conversated to the point, and nothing happened between us physically or anything to that effect. We just, the camaraderie, the hookup, the how do you say it, the vibe, the in ESP between us. I don't know what you want to call it. It was there. So we went over, met her parents, and I didn't see anything wrong there either. They seemed to, I mean, they're the typical parents, ask you 5 million questions to figure out who you are and why you are, and then they come to find out that my dad and mom was, and what the group of people that we used to run around with and associate with, and they knew everybody. They were close to all these people. It was unbelievable how we knew everybody in our group. But I mean, this is her parents, but we didn't know them. Okay. So then, in a few days later, I went back and I sat down with her mom and dad and asked for permission to marry their daughter. And her dad just fell apart, gave us his blessings. Mother, mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, stepmother-in-law, however you want to say it, slightly apprehensive, but I think, and I'm saying this in a nice way, please, if anybody passes this along, this is nothing against this lady, because I love her just as much as I love her father or anybody, is that I think she was happy to see his daughter finally get hitched, married, and somewhat not tied tied to the house and the family there. Okay. With another, with that being said, um, kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry. I'll let you guys ramble here a little bit, but with that being said, the relationship there was fantastic. So, like I was saying, being there as long as I was, we get, like I said, I had just a little bit of money, so I got us both a bus ticket. We rode over on the bus back to my parents' place, picked up my car, what little belongings I still had at home, and from my best friend's place, which I was staying at that particular time before I went over to the west part of the state. Um, my parents, I got a very, 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 very tremendously bad vibe from them, like stupid young man going into this blind, going into this no job, no house, no apartment, no nothing, just going into this blindly. Okay, with that being said, I got that vibe. Sorry about that. But anyway, that vibe was there. So I thought to myself, well, I need to say my goodbyes to my parents, and that I needed to get my wife now back over to her place so she can get back to her routine, and then we'll go from there. So I packed us all up into my little car, my '65 Chevy Impala Super Sport at that time, which I still wish I had today, but neither here nor there. So we head on back to that part of the state. And long story short, let me get this off so I can get to my other part for you. Is that what I'm getting at this? I felt the being compelled and the love towards her, and being a Christian young man, whatever. My parents taught me right. I still feel this today. They brought me up that when you make commitments like this, bad, wrong, or indifference, commitment is made, so you stick to it. So In a roundabout way, in a long story, we got married in Florida from Montana. That's another long story, but I won't get into that because I'm taking too much time on the video. But we've been together for 37 years, married, good, bad, indifferent. We've gone through hell and back. She is my best friend, even though I have two best friends. Don't get me wrong. I got lots of friends. I hope you guys understand friends and best friends and go to the mats, as we want to say, for you people and friends. I got to say that. I got two of those in my life, besides my mom and dad. My dad's no longer with us, and my sisters, I got to say that. I love my sister. You don't get to conversate enough as I'd like to through life, but neither here nor there. We've been together for 37 years. That commitment, that's the reason why I want to say this, and this is the reason why I'm using this as my example of a story for you, Cobbit. I want to say that, is that commitment. So death do us part, for good or bad in sickness. I won't go through the whole marriage ceremony there, but that meant something to me. That's what I said in a video with Juan Smoke. If you want to go back on that, and through my videos, it's there. Why I've got such a heartfelt, however you want to say it, felt commitment to this. I love the lady and will always love the lady. There'd have to be something majorly stupid, dumb, I don't know what you want to call it, happen. And I don't think that it would ever happen. 37 years, and I'm hoping it's another 60 years. I know that would make me way past, should be dead age, but I want it for an ever situation. I made that commitment. Who cares about who squeezes the toothpaste at the end or who squeezes in the middle, who leaves the toilet seat up, who puts the toilet seat down? Those are things in life that we need to deal with. It's a part of life in marriage. If you can't get through those small things like that, and you want to get a divorce over because I can't deal with his indifferences. He won't do things like I want to do. You know, it goes to some of these things like who drinks out of the milk carton. I'm just using that as an example. That's not saying I do things like that, but it's just saying that yeah, money is a root of a lot of people's situations. Infidelity that happens out there, and I'm not saying I've ever, because I never have. That's not what I'm getting at. The commitment's made there to her and what we have built together. That's the commitment. So there's my story. That's my shout out for my, this is amazing life between her and I. We're walking through life together. And I want to keep that commitment forever. And there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful people out there. But I've got the one I wanted and made the commitment. It was like I said, a freak situation, but it happened. And I think the good Lord put us together. And I don't want to have anybody take us apart. No. So with that being said, that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. So the shout out is, and yeah, this is going to be a shout out to someone that I've shouted out a few times to people over this situation. Somebody that this pipe community, I bump across people. They're good people. We conversate back and forth through the comments of our videos and their videos and stuff like that. And I've got some neat people out there that make some little quotes of the day stuff that I enjoy and just make me crack up. They're on the same wavelength that I am. But this particular gentleman, we've hit it off, and I don't want to lose this friendship that we have developed over this. That's the reason why I subscribed to it in the first place, because it's kind of the same way going back to my marriage situation. You're going through these videos, you're talking to people, you're watching what they're talking about in their lives and what's going on with them, and then you kind of get to through their videos and stuff. You kind of get what their music interests are and their likes and dislikes. You start developing things like that. Now, I'm talking about this was done in just a couple of weeks' time. Starting to present myself, getting myself better known myself, because I've only got 140 some odd subs myself so far, which I think within a month is unstinking believable. I cannot believe that the outcrying and the outpouring of people on this community and what they've taken care of. I mean, we take care of each other. We do things for each other. Uh, if you're a person in need, I mean, it's just like I just got my notification that Pirate Frog 333. That's not the gentleman I'm talking about, but his little thing came up. I support him and his illness and his problems that he's had, and I pray for him. And I'm saying that if you guys don't believe in that, that's your own thing. I believe in prayer. Prayer is strong. If it wasn't for a mother's prayer, I probably wouldn't be here today because of my medical. I've gone through a mother load of medical stuff that I should not be alive today, but I am. So prayer is power, as far as I'm concerned. And I pray for everybody that asks for prayers. I mean, it's believers or not, I believe in it. But with that being said, this gentleman has struck up a friendship with me, and I want to keep that friendship going. And I hope everybody out there that haven't went to his YouTube channel and sub to him, you need to. You need to listen to him. He's got a lot of wisdom out there. I mean, and I will say this: Pipe Cat is his channel name. Please, no, I've given him shout outs before, but this is a true shout out for this VR for you, Cobbit. I mean this. Cobbit of the Shire. Saying this, you develop friendships with people, and I've conversated with you also in the past, little blips here and there and yonder, because I believe this with anybody that I associate with in conversating. When I say my little ending, God bless you and love you, that is with my heart. Period. Because I want good health, and I don't mean wealth in a wealth of, I mean wealth in life as life itself. A good relationship with your family, a good relationship with your working atmosphere, anything like that. I don't care where you're at in the world. So with that being said, Pipe Cat is my shout out for this part of the deal. So hope this does what you needed me to do for this. And I will get you a link. I don't remember if you said do it off of this one or do it off of your page, but I will get a link on both of them so it'll cover them both ways. But please watch this and please understand that that's the reason why I'm doing this one, because this one was heartfelt from me to this whole community, not just the people that I talked about in this. It's for everybody. Truthfully, we're here for each other. I found a community. I sub to a lot of different things out there on YouTube, and they sub back. And I think a lot of times, a lot of them just do it just for the sub, nothing else. No, I don't do that. I check out their website or their YouTube page. And if I find some things in there that it doesn't click with me, or it's not my morals or whatever, your morals are your morals, my morals are my morals, my political beliefs, all that, that's here or there. We're all friends anyway. That's not saying I don't sub to you, but there is some subjects, that I will, no, that's, no, I won't get into that. And we're not going to discuss that. That's not what this is about. Ever since I've been on YouTube within, well, I don't know how many months it's been now, I've been a subscriber to Cobbit of the Shire, and I want him to know that I do appreciate what you do also. And I thank you for doing this shout out. And I'm so surprised that I'm where I'm at with my subs and your subs. 500 is amazing to me. I thought it was just going to be a community of us just watching videos and who cared about the subs. It's not the subs in itself. You know, it's just that meaning that we have friendship in this community, people that care for each other. That's what the subs are about. And watching people's daily lives and learning things from them. Yeah, your reviews on tobaccos and pipes and all that stuff, that's a part of it. That is a major part of it. But let's continue to keep this YouTube going this way. Sure appreciate it. And thank you for letting me ramble. And I wanted to make sure I got this VR out. It's Cobbit of the Shire. Thank you. And have a good evening.